So to organize the session, we're going to have each of the peer mentors introduce themselves one by one. When I call on each person, I'm going to play their 1 minute video bio, which everyone has, or most everyone has. Then I'm going to have the peer mentor introduce themselves and just remind everyone where they live in BC, because we're kind of peppered all over, and their age at diagnosis. And I've asked every single peer mentor to be ready to answer this question. As someone with type 1, what do you remember struggling with the most when you were in middle or secondary school? Okay, so I'm going to start with Jenna, and we're going to have play Jenna's 1 minute video before she comes on screen.
Hi, I'm Jenna. I'm so excited to be a peer mentor on the T1D Reach Out NexGEN app. I am 19 years old. I live in Kamloops, BC, and I was diagnosed at 2. I'm a pretty big hockey fan. Go Canucks, go! I love to read, and I also love to take care of little plants. I kind of have my own little greenhouse going on in my room right now. I love yoga, and I'm also a big science nerd. I've been pretty involved in the T1D community since I was little, so I can't wait to get to know you. See you around.
Okay, Jenna, would you like to unmute and introduce yourself and answer the question about what you struggled with the most when you were younger?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Jenna. I live in Kamloops, BC. I was diagnosed at the age of 2. And something I remember struggling with in high school for sure was just juggling all the things that come with diabetes on top of all the stresses of, keeping up my grades, getting to school on time, all that stuff on top of, you know, the everyday stresses. There were one too many times where I would leave the house before and forget to check how much insulin I had in my pump, and then I'd be at school middle of the day and I need to get more insulin. So yeah, I was just juggling all of that was a tough one.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jenna. All right, we've got McKenna next. And we're going to have McKenna's video profile first before she comes on screen.
Hi everyone, my name is McKenna McManus. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 7 years old. I am currently 24 years old and I live in Burnaby, British Columbia. I work as a teaching assistant at an elementary school, working primarily with grades 2, 3, and 4 students. I graduated in 2024 with my bachelor's in psychology with a double major in Indigenous Studies and Human Development and Counseling, and I am in the process of applying for my master's of counseling. A little bit about me is I play softball. I started playing when I was in 8th grade, continued until about the second year of university, stopped for a little bit, and then started up again last season. I've had a lot of fun playing. I am mainly an outfielder as well as a first baseman, despite the fact that I am 5'0". I've also recently gotten back into reading. I read the Hunger Games series as well as I'm reading the Harry Potter books for the first time. Their movie adaptations are some of my comfort movies, so getting to read the books has been a lot of fun. I look forward to meeting all of you. Bye!
Okay, McKenna, would you like to introduce yourself and just talk about what you struggled the most when you were younger?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is McKenna McManus. I currently live in Burnaby and I was diagnosed when I was 7 years old. I think one of the biggest things I struggled with in like middle school and high school was stopping my friends from doing things if I had to deal with my blood sugar. I never wanted to be that burden or that friend that stopped the fun because I was low or high and had to deal with my numbers. But that was definitely a struggle, but finding friends that cared more about my diabetes than the activity really helped me through that.
Okay. Thanks, McKenna. We've got Nick next. Let's play Nick's video.
Hi everyone, My name is Nick, and I'm 28 years old, and I am a peer mentor. I currently live in Surrey, British Columbia, and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 3. Some things to know about me is that my family is my main priority. I spend most of my time with them, and we love doing stuff together. One of the things that we love to do is camping. I love camping. I love being outside, fishing, you name it. If it's outside, I probably enjoy it. And if I'm not outside, I'll probably be inside either buying, building, or selling Lego. I love Lego. It's a huge passion of mine, and it's something that I really enjoy. In the coming weeks, I really look forward to getting to know you guys, hearing from you guys, and learning more about your stories. Bye.
Thanks. Nick, do you want to introduce yourself and answer the question?
Hi, everyone. As the video stated, my name is Nick. I currently live in Surrey, British Columbia, and I was diagnosed at the age of 3. I'm currently 28. And I would say the thing that I struggled with most in my teen years is wanting the independence to take care of my diabetes while simultaneously wanting people to be there to help me at the same time, and the conflicting boundaries of no, let me do it, but also like, man, I feel like crap. Could someone come and help me, please?
Okay, great. Thanks, Nick. We've got Erica next. Let's play Erica's video.
Hi, my name is Erica. I'm a peer mentor with NexGEN. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 2 years old, and I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, although originally I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I moved here to study international relations and philosophy at UBC, but secretly I really just wanted to be near the mountains and the ocean. I really love being outside, any kind of outdoor sport, especially endurance ones. My favorites are cross-country skiing, trail running, and mountain biking, but I do them all. I also really love cooking, but I hate following recipes, so every time I cook something, it's a little bit different depending on what's in my fridge. And I love running into other people with type 1 out in the wild. Super exciting to see someone else with a CGM or an insulin pump. I always like to say hi. And I'm really excited to meet you all.
Okay, Erica, you're up.
Hi, yeah, my name's Erica. I was diagnosed when I was 2, and I live in Vancouver. I would say I have a similar answer to Nick about what I struggled with. I think balancing like my independence and leaning on my support system was really hard for me, especially in like the middle school years, transitioning to high school. Like I was a pretty like hyper independent kid. And I think also just like being diagnosed so young and transitioning from having like your parents do absolutely everything for you to like doing it all on your own can be some rocky years. And then also I did competitive sports in high school and middle school, and like that was pretty tough, I think. So just like figuring out how to do everything for diabetes normally, and then also how to do it like while you're exercising for like 3 hours at a time. Those were the big ones for me.
Okay, great. Thanks, Erica. And next we have Daniel. We'll play the video.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel. I'm a peer supporter on the NexGEN app. I've been living with diabetes since about the age of 12, shortly after I moved here from the UK with my family. As you can tell from my background in Roseland here, I absolutely love the outdoors. I'm mountain biking at the moment, but I also ski, backcountry camp, hike, skydive, kayak, paddleboard, more or less anything I can convince my friends to do with me. I just finished up my bachelor's degree in kinesiology at UBC and am currently working on my medical school applications. And when I'm not doing that, I also love a bit of traveling. I've been to many hostels in South America and Australia and a couple of other places, and hope to continue growing that list. And other than that, I look forward to getting to know you all, meet you all on the app, and chatting soon. Thank you very much. See ya.
Okay, Daniel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Daniel. I'm living in Vancouver at the moment. Yeah, for the video, I've lived elsewhere in interior BC. I was 12 when I was diagnosed, and that kind of plays into the hardest part I thought when I was younger, living with diabetes, because in the middle of high school being diagnosed. I think the hardest part for me was having that conversation with friends and kind of initiating it, because it was a very awkward conversation to have. And then because I wasn't telling everybody immediately, it kind of meant that I was hiding like injections and things like that when I was on the pen at the time. Yeah, so having that conversation and telling friends was definitely probably the toughest part at the start there for me.
Okay, thanks, Dan. I have Alexa on my list, but I don't see Alexa on screen. Alexa, are you here? Okay, let's move on to David. Let's play David's video.
Hello, my name is David. I'm a peer supporter for T1D Reach Out. I was born and raised mostly in North Vancouver, but now I've moved to Surrey and I've been here for a few years. I was diagnosed at the age of 13 and I've been on an insulin pump for nearly all of that time. I'm a really active individual, and as much as I love a good bike ride, I also really love video games, shows, and movies as a contrast. I really like connecting with other people, learning new things, and experiencing different slices of life. And also, I'm a huge animal lover, as I have 2 lovely cats. And I'm also just really glad to be part of T1D Reach Out, as I feel like I'm able to experience and connect with so many people in ways that I didn't really do growing up. As when I was growing up, I didn't meet that many people who had type 1 diabetes and wasn't really able to share that connection or basically talk about it. So I'm really glad that I'm able to be part of T1D and to be able to meet all of you awesome people. So I can't wait to see you then.
Okay, David, what about you?
Yeah, my name is David. I was born in North Vancouver, then I moved to Surrey, so I live in Surrey right now. I was also diagnosed at the age of 13. I'm currently 25, and very similar to like Daniel, like I also like getting T1D at like when I started high school was definitely quite the shift, because I remember being like really thirsty. Like before I was diagnosed, I'd have like tons of days where I was like thirsty, going in and out of the classroom, and that was definitely like, I guess, like something to be critical of and get checked out. But once I actually got T1D, uh, a lot of the issues that I had were mostly insulin regulation, whereas sometimes I'd like run out of insulin like during class or like at lunchtime or whatever, and then like, oh, like I'd sometimes have the insulin extra in my backpack, but sometimes it'd be at home, which is not like the best decision. And then also blood sugar swings at lunchtime were kind of bad, because usually I'd like eat with my friends and then we'd like maybe play like soccer or something, and then obviously you could have like the crash. So I had to like be kind of wary of that. But yeah.
Okay, thanks, David. Aman, we have Aman next. Let's play the video.
Hello everybody, my name is Amin and I live in Cranbrook, BC. I'm really excited to be joining as a peer mentor. When I am not working in the operating room as a nurse, you can find me out on a hike or out at the lakes. I loved playing sports in high school, which is where I think my love for being active comes from. I really look forward to connecting with some of you on the app. Please don't hesitate to reach out. See you soon.
Okay, I think I pronounced your name a little bit incorrectly. Amin, are you here?
Yeah, Amin's great. So as the video said, my name is Amin. I currently live in Cranbrook, BC, and I was diagnosed at the age of 6. What I struggled with most in high school was managing my blood sugars, especially around sports and any type of physical activity. I loved being active, but I often worried about going low in the middle of a practice or a game, especially because it happened once or twice. So I feel like in and around grade 8 to 12, that made me feel a little left out because I wasn't pushing myself in ways that I knew I could when I was playing sports.
Okay, thanks. I have Simon next, but I don't see Simon on screen. Simon, are you?
I'm here. My camera is half working, half not, so it might turn on, it might not.
No worries. Thanks. Yeah, let's play Simon's video.
Hi, my name's Simon. I'm 24 years old and I live in Victoria, British Columbia. I am a peer supporter on the NexGEN peer support app. I've been a diabetic since I was 2, and some of my favorite hobbies include anything performing arts related and anything physical arts related. So whether that's painting, drawing, the creative side of things. I currently use a Medtronic closed loop system to manage my diabetes. I'm so excited to get to meet you all and get to hear your stories and support you in the best ways that I can. It's so great to have a community like this, and I look forward to contributing to it.
Thanks, Simon. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Simon. I've been a diabetic since I was 2. I went almost a full year without being diagnosed, so I guess technically I've had diabetes since I was 1, just undiagnosed. And my biggest struggle when I was in middle school and high school with type 1 diabetes would be auditioning for community theater because I'm an avid theater goer and theater performer, but no companies would want to cast kids with insulin pumps because it would be more of a liability. That, and when I did finally would get cast and things, or I would be doing dance recitals, then it would always be the issue of, well, where do we put the insulin pump so it's not getting seen by the audience? Or, well, we can't have the site there because there's tubing sticking out and that doesn't look good from the stage level.
That must have been hard. I can't imagine.
Yes, extremely.
Okay, Riley. Let's play Riley's video.
Hi everyone, my name is Riley and I'm a peer mentor currently in New West. I'm originally from Port Alberni on Vancouver Island, which made for a really interesting diagnosis coming to Vancouver to see a doctor when I was 6 years old. Clearly I really liked the trip as I moved back right after high school, and I've recently just finished my Master's of Counseling and I'm working full-time. If there is anything I've learned through that time and over the years, it's how important exercise is for mental health and how challenging it also is having a busy schedule in T1D. And I have tried all different kinds of exercise over the years, from team sports to weightlifting and yoga, and I'm still on the search for what feels good for my body and mind. So I'm open to recommendations if anyone has any. And when I'm not trying out new forms of exercise, I'm usually curled up either with a good true crime series or a good book, and I really loved the Percy Jackson series when I was a teen, and all things mystical and magical that would take me to a different world. All right, well, I'm really looking forward to getting to know everyone and seeing you all around the app and getting to know people. Great.
All right. I also know one of my research assistant loves the Percy Jackson series when she was a kid. All right, Riley, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Riley, as I said in the video. I'm currently a New Westminster in BC, and I was diagnosed when I was 6, which was like just after my 5th birthday. So I'm glad I had one last like good birthday with like cake that I can remember. And one of the things when I was thinking of like, oh, what was it like when I was a teenager in like high school, all I can remember is so many arguments with my parents about their worries about me going low. And one of the things is like I have been quite lucky and thankful that I haven't had too many bad lows. And I just remember like the constant like, oh, have you eaten? Did you bolus for enough? Are you exercising? Are you okay? And just how annoying I was when I was like, I just want to hang out with my friends. I just want to play sports. Like, leave me alone. I'm totally fine. I've got this. And that like back and forth of like, I'm okay. Stop worrying.
Feels like so many people probably had that conversation or that fight with parents. All right, so Wyatt, do we have a video for Wyatt? I don't remember.
Oh, yes, we do have it.
Great, let's play Wyatt. Or is he here? Oh. Oh, I don't see Wyatt.
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, he's here.
Just
Okay.
iPhone. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and play Wyatt's video. Thanks.
Hey guys, my name is Wyatt and I'm going to be your peer supporter. I'm located in Vancouver, BC. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 23, so I've lived with it for 7 years now. Fun fact about my diabetes is I don't joke about it well. Like, I'm really bad with diabetes related jokes. You know, a couple things for me that I find core tenets of my life. Family. I love spending time checking in with my family, seeing how everybody's doing. I have a lovely niece and nephew who are just absolute beacons of light in my life. I'm also a season ticket holder for the Vancouver Whitecaps and the BC Lions, so I spend a lot of time in BC Place in the summer. Aside from that, you know, I like to try to stay active, bike riding a lot. If you're gonna go bike the seawall, you need to get out there before noon. Otherwise, all the tourists are just gonna slow you down. For me, you know, type 1 diabetes and the effect that it's had in every way. Like, let's not mince words right here. Diabetes affects everything about my day-to-day life. It's forced me to, you know, take my health and diet more seriously. It's forced me to say no to things that others around me might say yes to for a myriad of reasons. But you know, one thing that I think the most impactful is the community around it. If you ever needed anything, whenever I was down, whenever I was thinking that I couldn't handle a situation I was in, etc., there was always a community of people that understood and were there to help support me. They've walked in the same shoes, in the same path that I walked on, and even if they couldn't help directly, having somebody there to listen and just feel heard was always needed and always beneficial for me. You know, looking forward to meeting you guys and talking with you more in the future. And please, yeah, send me a message if you want. Bye.
Wyatt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there, my name's Wyatt, and in case you couldn't tell, I am not an editor, so I am really good at making things long, not so good at making them short. The Unfortunately, I did not have an experience with type 1 diabetes as a teenager in high school. But for me, the biggest challenge that I had in high school was just feeling like I belonged, like I fit in. I think that's something that people can relate to, whether they live life testing their blood sugar several times a day or not.
Okay,
I hope
thanks.
that's okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Wyatt. Very
Thank
short.
you.
Kieran, are you on screen? No. Agam is. Agam, I know you don't have a video, but would you be willing to just verbally introduce yourself? And
Sure. Yeah, I don't have a video yet, unfortunately. But hi, everyone. My name's Agam, and I live in Surrey, BC. I was diagnosed at age 10. And I guess the hardest thing for me was actually kind of just similar to what Wyatt said, was fitting in, having to struggle with feeling different from everyone else, being like when it came to activities like PE during class, I'd have to check my blood sugar before or sit out if I was low, or feeling thirsty if I had a high blood sugar, having to go to the bathroom. And those feelings of like wanting to fit in, but also feeling a little bit self-conscious, especially at that age where fitting in was so important. So I would say that's the biggest thing that I struggled with at that age.
okay, thanks, Agam. Lindsay and Matt, I know you're on the Zoom room or in the Zoom room. Did you love to have you introduce yourselves if you are willing, because you're going to be training to be peer supporters as well. Lindsay, I'll start with you.
Sure. My name is Lindsay. I'm a very new peer supporter joining the group, so thank you for having me. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 8. I'm from Ontario and I moved out here about 6 years ago for grad school, and I'm just finishing up. And to do with the prompt on what I struggled with when I was in middle school or high school. My biggest struggle was honestly that I just couldn't find a really solid reason to care about diabetes. I didn't have resentment necessarily toward having it. I just had so many other things in my life that I cared more about at the time, whether that was school, sports, everything was sort of like taking off at the time, academics. So I didn't really want to spend a lot of bandwidth thinking about diabetes and especially thinking about the long-term consequences. Those just really didn't feel real at the time. Now I know that they are very real. And looking back, I wish I just had more of a solid reason or made smaller efforts on the day to day to sort of build upon my diabetes care, which I have now. But since then, I've definitely started caring about it more. And especially being connected to the T1D community has made me care about it a lot more as well.
Okay, Lindsay, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. At what age do you think you started caring, and what triggered it? Like what made you kind of sit and think, oh, you know what? I gotta be a little bit more thoughtful about what's going on with me.
I think it was a progressive development toward caring about it. I certainly care about it a lot now because I've had type 1 diabetes for 20 years. I'm also doing my PhD on type 1 diabetes, so I've thought a lot about it. And I've learned a lot more than I ever thought that I would. And I think it went in waves and it still goes through waves where in undergrad, I cared about it a lot at times. And then when I was stressed with school, I would care about it a little bit less and it would fall to the back burner. But overall, it's kind of like the net positive increase where it goes in waves, but overall, there's just a net development of caring more and more for it.
Okay, great. Thanks. And Matt, are you willing to share?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name's Matt. I'm also new to the peer mentor team, but I'm very excited to be here. I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 8 years old. Similar to Lindsay, I grew up in Ontario. I also moved to BC for graduate school. But the biggest thing for me in middle school and high school that I struggled with my diabetes, I think similar to what some other folks have mentioned, was managing my blood sugars while participating in sport. I grew up a competitive swimmer, so for multiple hours a day, I was actually disconnected from my insulin pump. And surprisingly enough, I was actually going low quite frequently throughout that experience, even if I was disconnected for up to 5 hours. And so it was a really long learning curve and a good lesson in patience and trust. But I definitely didn't give up. Sport was very important to me. I went on to compete at a varsity level. And yeah, it was tough, but a good learning experience.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I feel like we have at least like 4 or 5 high performance athletes in the group. I mean, yeah, that I know of who definitely played in high school, if not university. Okay, great. So the purpose of this session was to, have some adolescents come on if they, and again, it's low stakes. And if you're willing to, ask any questions, feel free to just enter it in the chat box. So as we continue on our session, just again, feel free to just ask your questions and I will see them and, broadcast them. So the other question I asked everyone to just be ready to answer, but I won't call on you in any order, but if you're willing to just share and talk about it, is this, in hindsight, what do you wish someone told you back then? T1D related, of course, which may have made life a little bit easier for you. And just raise your hand if you're happy to talk. Okay, Daniel?
There we go. Yeah, I'd say I remember when I was first diagnosed, a lot of it was conversations with the endocrinologist, things saying that, oh, you're not going to be able to do this, or this is going to be harder now, and you need to consider. Yeah, no, lots of talks like that, and it wasn't until a while later I got to meet have someone as a mentor that kind of went the other way around. They were someone he was diabetic, and he kind of just did everything that I wanted to do. Like, he was backcountry skiing, he absolutely mental guy. Like, he was base jumping and everything like that. And it was very much framed the other way around. Like, oh, you can do all of this. There's a couple of things you have to do to accommodate it. But yeah, being the other way around, I wish earlier on I got that perspective of it. Like, you can still do absolutely everything you want, rather than, oh, you need to accommodate for this or that.
Okay, and Daniel, I know you mentor some younger kids, and is that the role you try to play with them? I think some of them are what, like 7 to 9 years old?
Yeah, definitely, because yeah, it's the same sort of thing. I mean, it's kind of the endocrinologist kind of role to give you the medical advice, which inherently is going to be like, oh, you need to consider this and that. So yeah, I think it's important to encourage give encouragement for all the things that they might want to do. So for definitely, like, lots of kids that I've spoken to are like struggling to manage diabetes around sports, like having to come off in the middle of a game or something like that, but then just kind of giving them an example that that's more than okay to do, and you can make it work regardless of what you're doing, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. Others, in hindsight, what advice do you wish someone gave you? Okay, McKenna.
I would say the advice I wish I had when I was like first diagnosed and in that high school, middle school range would be that one, high blood sugar doesn't like determine your entire blood sugar. It doesn't determine how you are as a diabetic. I think I had a lot of nurses in that kind of age range that when I go and see them with my checkups, if I had one high blood sugar within the past 2 weeks, it was a million and one questions about why was it high? What were you doing? What didn't you do? And it always felt like having a high blood sugar was the be all end all. And I wish someone could tell little McKenna, hey, it's going to be okay. One high blood sugar doesn't define you as a diabetic.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jerry would say even a couple days of high blood sugars won't define you. And maybe months where you're something's, up. I think a lot of people I've heard, at university, they just don't want to have diabetes, so they pretend they don't. And then later on in life, they're like, oh my God, did I mess it up? I kind of wasn't doing well for 4 years. Did I mess it up? And Jerry will tell you, no, you didn't.
One of my favorite sayings is get some Teflon. Paint yourself in Teflon. Guilt don't stick. It will get better. Only look forward. Seriously.
Okay. Thanks, McKenna. Anyone else? Advice you wish someone gave you? Okay, Erica.
Yeah, I would say just that, like, I feel like I didn't know that there are so many other diabetics out there who have done the like strange things that you want to do, that it feels like you're the only one, like kind of like Daniel was saying, like, I don't know, when I was younger, I didn't really know anyone else that like was diabetic and was doing all of the same like sports I was doing and things like that. And I feel like just in the last couple years, I've met so many people that like have advice and things that you wouldn't have even thought to consider, and just like what a difference it makes to talk to people like that.
Yeah. When you said that, I was thinking about Nick and camping. I've had a lot of people asking camping questions, so I think you'd be a great person to lead a huddle on camping tips and strategies. And Daniel too. I know Daniel goes camping too. Others?
I'm just gonna jump in.
Okay, Nick.
You can't fix your A1C the day or the week before your blood test. And then more importantly with that, Like that number is important, but I think it was Lindsay who was saying it like that number is based on the little decisions that you make every day. You can't just decide like I am going to drastically change my lifestyle for the next 3 months and think, especially as a teenager, that you're going to stick with it. It's the little decisions to get into that target range. You high five your endocrinologist when you get there. Um, but it's not something that happens the day before or the week before, but it's something that it's the little changes that get you there.
So does that mean that when you were younger, you were making kind of drastic changes for, small periods of time, hoping that it would show up on your glucometer?
I somehow convinced myself that if I did my A1C blood test when my blood sugar was low, the number would be lower. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Simon.
If someone were to tell me this looking back that diabetes does not define your self-worth, I think it would be a great message to have because there's always so much pressure, whether that's from parents to improve blood sugars, be more active, do all these things just because of the diabetes, or endocrinology teams being like, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z, and this is going to make everything better, and your whole life starts to revolve around diabetes and blood sugars and management. It Even if you're having a rocky period, it doesn't define who you are as a person, and diabetes doesn't have to be your only definition of yourself. It's part of you, doesn't need to define you.
Okay. So Simon, when you were talking about theater and actually not getting parts, can is there something someone could have said to you back then with regard to theater and kind of being discriminated against that would have made a difference? I mean, how did that impact your kind of long-standing interest in theater?
It was a little discouraging at first when I would audition for these like well-known like community theater companies in Victoria, and it was frustrating and aggravating. But then I eventually found another theater company that was holding auditions, and I was like, "Hey, I'll give it a shot." And the one that I went to just so happened the director was also a type 1 diabetic, and that made the world of a difference because he realized like a lot of people just think, and maybe it's just because of lack of education, that, oh, well, you have diabetes, so you can't do a 20-minute dance number and sing and perform and do all of these things because diabetes is just going to get in the way, or they're hesitant about it. If somebody had just educated other people on it and basically told you you'll find your fit eventually, that would be great. But yeah, you'll find your places where you belong and where diabetes doesn't really triumph all that. And it also made me realize now as a young adult, like I can pick and choose who I will spend my time around. And do I really want to be involved in an organization who is telling me, yes, you can do all of these steps and all of these things in our audition process, but because of your diabetes, we don't really want that. I don't want to be a person condoning that sort of behavior, so I don't want to be representing them.
Okay. And is that the advice you'd give someone younger now?
I would just say find your right people. There's always going to be people who underestimate or think you can't do it. So you can prove them wrong, or you can find your tribe of people to be with that have the same interests that want to see you succeed.
Thank you. Others?
Yeah, can I
Yeah,
add in?
David.
Honestly, I kind of wish I knew about like insulin syringes earlier. So for me, like I started with a pen for like the first 3 months when I was diagnosed, and then I switched to like an insulin pump since then. So I was like on Animas and then Medtronic, right? So yeah, so I'm like fully dependent on like administering through the infusion sets and like the insulin from the pump. But I didn't realize like having insulin syringes can be like kind of like a flexible, like in a pinch like alternative where like if the site is not too good and you don't have like a replacement ready, that you can kind of like use like the syringes. Like I just didn't ever think to get any of that. So I kind of wish I knew about that earlier, like maybe like 6, 7 years before that. But I have them now in case I need them, so it's nice to have.
So, David, when did you find out that that was an option?
Honestly, like a few months ago. Like it
Oh,
was
wow.
so recent. Yeah. I always just use the like insulin pump. Like I'm on the 770 Medtronic, so I just never thought of like an alternative of like administering insulin because I was like not thinking about it too much. Like it was just routine, right? Like diabetes is my life, but it's like routine. So I never thought to like look elsewhere for like other ways to patch it up. So
Can I just ask a quick question? Who told you?
my girlfriend,
Okay.
she
And
works at
just
a she works at a pharmacy.
and
So
this is just a teachable moment. Always have backup on the backup on the backup. The insulin syringes that have the orange top can be kept in the car. Your
mhm.
insulin cannot be kept in the car. So if you have a pump failure, you can use that orange top to administer. And I've had people do it for an entire weekend with one syringe. It
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks.
Now that Jerry has given some advice, I would like Jerry Klein to introduce herself because you all, when you get medical questions from the adolescents, obviously one rule is we can't dispense advice, and we just, you all learned in training that Jerry's the one you go to. So Jerry, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jerry Klein, and I am going to state my age because everybody else has. I've been a nurse for 50 years. I started in 1975 and I am 70. My real education began when my son was diagnosed at age 6. And I learned quickly that, yes, the blood sugar that they're going to notice is that one high. You can have months of great blood sugars, and one high, your team will find that. I also learned other things from Aaron, but I find that it influences my teaching. Right now, I work for BC Diabetes as a volunteer, and I work with Dr. Tang as a volunteer to promote diabetes education that I think is important. Please feel free to contact me. I do travel a lot, and please don't judge me. I have a house in Vegas, so I may talk to you from Vegas, but you're not bothering me. If you phone my cell and I'm not answering, my husband calls my cell Waldo. Phone me back in 5 minutes. If I don't answer, yeah, Waldo, we walk around, and he also got a long rope for me to hang it around my neck. But feel free to send me an email.
Yeah, so I would say not just for the adolescents, referring, if you have a personal question, if something's happening and you're in a crisis, just use the app and Jerry will, I mean, for the most part, answer you within the hour. So you've got that resource as one of our peer mentors. Others? Okay, so I'll throw out this additional question. We've kind of been looking back in time, but as an adult, what is your biggest frustration? As a person working at university, obviously, how we, the things we care about, how we cope with things changes when we get older. But as at your age now, what do you find most challenging?
Can
Yep,
add in?
David. Mhm.
I think most challenging would be like unexplained highs where like it like you feel like you didn't have as many carbs or whatever conditions are set. You like, oh, I've done this before. why is it so much higher this time than it is the other time? I think that those can be kind of frustrating, and then I guess that never really goes away. It's just like a management, like regardless of age, that can be the same thing, right? Um, but yeah, like at that point, I just use time as like my resource to like let the blood sugars drop. But high blood sugars can definitely like consume some of your time in a day where like you'd want to do something, but you kind of can't because the the high blood sugar gets in the way with like focus and everything. But yeah, I think unexplained highs are like my more annoying, like, or the aspect I find more annoying about like diabetes. So yeah.
Yeah, those don't go away. I mean, the unexplained part is pretty consistent across time.
Yeah.
Others, what annoys you now, Daniel? Oh, did you hear me?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Didn't realize my microphone was muted. I would say it's always been an issue, and it's always going to be an issue going forward. Is managing insurance and things like that around diabetes supplies and like insulin pumps and things. It's always been a pain, and it always will be a pain. Recently, over the ski season, I was skiing with backcountry skiing with some mates, and we were being a bit ridiculous, and I smashed into a tree and cracked my pump, but didn't realize. And then so when it got wet a couple weeks later or whatever it was, it broke. And then normally you have to go through the whole pain of getting a new pump through your insurance company. And then it was the added thing of my liability, or the coverage had just expired for it. So then I'm now on a loaner pump to get until my coverage kicks in again next year. So it's constantly that sort of stuff. It's always a pain, and then switching between jobs with different health insurance and things like that is, but yeah, it's always been a pain, and it always will be a pain for sure.
So let me ask you, when did the burden of insurance switch over from your parents to you? I mean, like at what age did you take on that burden?
Yeah, it would have been once I graduated from university, because I can't remember the exact rules behind it, but yeah, once you're graduated from university, or while you're in university, sorry, you can be under your parents' health insurance. I can't remember the exact details, but after you graduate, yeah, then I had to get my own health insurance and go through all the processes. I've broken many pumps, so I've had to go through the process a few times, but only recently I had to go through it entirely on my own because I've broken one. But yeah.
Okay. All right. I saw Matt, then McKenna. So Matt, do you want to go first?
It's funny, I actually was going to say the same thing, of just insurance coverage and balancing choice of ideal sort of technology and the sort of rapid development we're seeing, and acknowledging that with what's available to be covered in BC, is something I've been struggling with recently.
Okay. And are you also in Dr. Verscher's lab? I mean, are you in a position to know
Yeah, I
about the
recently
technology?
just finished my PhD, and I've started in the Bashir lab as a postdoc as of September 1st.
Okay, so Bruce Verscher, if anyone doesn't know, he's one of the most prolific researchers, a basic scientist in diabetes. So if anyone were to know about technological advances, it'd be Matt, and Lindsay. McKenna, what about you?
Yeah, I would say one of the most frustrating things is maintaining my diabetes, like number wise throughout the workday. I work with kids and I'm constantly like running around with them. And so ensuring not only A, that I'm at a good number to be with them and stay with them, but also making sure as I'm going from like the classroom to the gym, to the library, to the music room, bringing all my stuff can be a little frustrating because I never want to be a burden to my coworkers of going low and having to get someone to come in and cover if the kids need help, but also like the burden as well of like bringing all this stuff around. I do have a great team that I work with though, so I've shown them how to use like the nasal glucagon, and they've got like emergency protocols so all the teachers know. But that's a big frustration for me, and just entering new work areas where I then have to re-explain and retell it always is a little frustrating.
Yeah. It's interesting because, you were saying that as a kid, you didn't want to be a burden. So like you want your diabetes footprint to be as small as possible. And as an adult, you still feel the same way. I mean, that it's still something that you're very, very sensitive and attentive about. So you haven't, changed in terms of, not wanting to bother people. We have a question in the chat room, and it's from Brandon. Can you ask if anyone has gone through burnout? So have any of you at some point gone through significant burnout? Okay. And can you talk about it? I mean, when it was, why it was?
I can talk a bit about it.
Sure.
So I think I didn't really recognize it as burnout until I actually met with my counselor who also has type 1 diabetes and kind of talked through what was happening. But it really happened through the transition of finishing post-secondary and starting my career and switching into shift work. And it was really hard for me to control the highs. I work in, I would say, a high stress environment. So there was a lot of blood sugar spikes throughout the day. And that would lead to me then bolusing and then going straight back into work and then my blood sugar dropping. And it was just like this constant cycle of high blood sugar, low blood sugar, high blood sugar, low blood sugar, which was extremely different than what my baseline was for the past few years in post-secondary school because I had that figured out. It really got to the point of me just like not wanting to even look at my Dexcom readings. I was not wanting to pick up my Omnipod receiver and give myself insulin. And so that's when I spoke to my diabetes nurse and I was like, I'm honestly like ready to give up. I do not want to do this anymore. I don't even want to go to work. And that's when I spoke to my counselor and kind of realized, okay, maybe this is what burnout means. Like maybe this is it. And kind of just figuring out a plan from there on how to have a bit of like what I call a diabetes reset. And then kind of like getting back into the flow of things slowly and not picking like too many grapes off a vine, like just choosing one thing to tackle, seeing how that goes. If I'm ready to move on to the next, doing that. But yeah, I think I'm kind of back to where it was. I'm definitely not scared of my phone or my insulin pump receiver anymore. So I think that's a good sign.
Yeah. And how long did that take to, evolve out of that place where things were really, really tough?
I would say a couple of months. It was really hard for me to even believe that I was going through burnout. I was like, I've had diabetes since I was 6. Like, I've been through so much worse. Like, this is not burnout. Like, there is something wrong with me. Like, I must be sick. I must be getting a cold. And I live in Cranbrook, BC, and it gets pretty cold here in the winter. So I'm like, it just must be another cold. Like, I'm fine. So I think it was like, it took a while because I initially had to realize, like, okay, it's not just a cold. It's me needing to figure out how to manage this new cycle of my life.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. And you're right. I guess, when we've had diabetes for so long, you can't imagine, you would have had burnout, at a different time in your life. And so it's anything but burnout. I can see how it took a while to get to that conclusion. All right, we're at 7 o'clock and we end our sessions at 7. I want to thank everyone for attending. And, part of this mostly was you all meeting each other. There are 18 of you. And we are currently recruiting adolescents and would love help from you all if you know anyone. We're going through diabetes education centers, private clinics like BC Diabetes. We have, I think, about 10 people signed up so far. So we're just waiting until we've got kind of a good, we're ready to launch. And I think it'll be probably in a week or two. So just kind of sit tight. You're going to get emails from us to go ahead and, download the app, get on it, fill out some, questions on the app, but your profile should be added on as soon as, because I think at least 12 of you are ready to be added on. So all that is going to kind of look gradual, but again, in about 1 or 2 weeks, it'll feel a lot more. I mean, you'll see a library full of 18 of you. So really excited. And I did want to say that one of the parts of the app is something called virtual huddles. And that's kind of like small intimate sessions where you, as a peer mentor, lead a session about a particular topic that you're very enthusiastic about. So Nick, if you would lead one on camping, that would be great. We also asked adolescents if they want to co-lead it, that's great, but we're trying to offer as many different topics, that people might be interested in. So just start kind of cogitating and letting us know. And thank you so much again for donating your time to us. It really, really matters a lot. And I'm so excited about this just because every time I talk to like a diabetes educator, a dietitian, an endo, they're so excited about it. So I just feel like this is very innovative because we've had you who are the most important people and then our platform. So feel free to text on the WhatsApp texting group we have as we start ramping up. All right. Anything else that anyone wants to say before we close up?
I will just add that if there is anyone here who is interested in being a participant or a parent of a potential participant of those adolescents age 15 to 18, I'm going to put my email in the chat and you can contact me and we can get you signed up for the study.
Right. So if you're a parent or an adolescent, feel free to stay on. I'll stay on for, another 10 minutes so you can ask me questions about the study itself. But all our peer mentors, thanks for taking an hour out of your night and have a great rest of your night.